Attention gamers. Picture this. You've been selected to participate in a random social experiment with amazing rewards should you succeed. You and 4 random people are put in a room and given a simple set of tasks you need to complete in order to be released. But here's the catch. Rebecca and Jimmy had to work together on one of the parts, and bossy Becky didn't like the shirt Jimmy chose today because she likes other shirts better, so she just blatantly refuses to help. Clyde was given a task to do on his own, but he struggled to make progress, deeming his failure the fault of the group, and to spite them, he refused to keep breathing. You think it's ridiculous that he would punish himself just to make the rest of you suffer, but he stays true to his stance and ends up dying to prove his point. Now it's just 4 of you trying to complete a 5-person task. You are actually making great progress on your part and are still hopeful that this experiment is still quote-unquote winnable. But enter Chody Brody, the 5th randomly selected participant whose job is to go around and help the different groups with their parts. But since freaking Clyde killed himself and Becky's a dumb hoe, you now have to deal with Brody trying to convince the rest of the group that the experiment will be impossible to complete, so he just sits in the corner and refuses to participate. And as if this couldn't get any worse, Jimmy is just brain dead stupid, so every time he tries to help he ends up just undoing progress and making the puzzles harder to complete. You never finished and all eventually died of starvation. The experiment was titled League of Legends, and millions of people participate in similar experiences every day. Now I recently stopped signing up for one particular type of group torture because dying in those rooms was much more infuriating, but unfortunately, the unranked rooms still have the same occurrences. In my last game I had an ADC Ziggs whose biggest accomplishment of the game was loading in, then out, then back in, then out as Rift Alexa had a vocal seizure for 20 minutes until he eventually just stayed out. My top lane Obesox ate one too many weed brownies before he queued up, resulting in him becoming a walking all-you-can-eat buffet, feeding everyone in sight. My jungler had the mental fortitude of a frosted Cheerio with a terminal illness, so he chose to spend his time crying and refusing to help instead of realizing that this was an easily winnable game. Just about everyone on the other team had matching toxic Tommy tattoos on their pubis gooches, and I was out here just trying to enjoy myself on an off-meta cosmic ballsack mid-pick, popping all the way off, knowing that at the end of the day, there was no way me and the 4 other people I was stuck with were getting out of this room. And that, my friends, is why League of Legends is so hard to enjoy anymore. Now if you can relate to the analogy I just gave and have struggled with similar experiences, please take your anger out on that upward thumb button, subscribe for more, and let's suffer through my pain together. Okay, now despite the impending doom that you now hopefully are prepared to witness in this game, it actually started out quite the opposite way. You see, their team wanted to get in a little secret sneaky time with us before school started, even though their comp didn't exactly scream invade to me, but hey, one man's idiocracy is another man's free first blood, so I cosmic hog-tied 2 of them together, and here is where the situation turns into what all League players wake up wet as water itself, middle of the night, so hard you could hang a coat on your pork sword pole. As you saw, I bong whacked my way to first blood and then made a meep celeb shot on the simp for the before school double. And while a logical player sitting on a free 700 would probably back and buy himself a meaty breakfast before starting work that day, not this fat floating scrotum of stardust, no. I was going to assert my dominance over this Yamakaze simp by giving him a math lesson that level 2 is indeed greater than level 1, so I meep mash electrocute bash bake this shit or a cake combo to set the record for fastest killing spree ever by an AP bard. And a minute later call me Fat Galaxy Indiana freaking Jones, because in my possession I hold the chapter that was believed to be lost, and this Beyblade fanatic still has the nerve to disrespect my off-meta pick by existing in my cosmic queef bubble, so I elegantly lob some astrology up his ass before lighting his dumb cape on fire, and I didn't need to see to know that he didn't stop, drop or roll when he should have. And when I play mid I typically like to make an early trip bot to say alt diff in their dumb underleveled little faces, but unfortunately my ult requires you aren't clinically diagnosed with chronic stupidity, so the Zanya's zone whiffs and then I seemingly hold my Q for next game, but any real League player knows that I was just trying to save it for the kill steal, which ended up completely cucking a standard hard stuck style. But we ended up slaying the simp and getting out before her defensive mob of OnlyFans subs was able to punish us. That said, our bot lane was still getting shit on due to the furry bomb rat using dental floss instead of ethernet wires at his house, resulting in him still being a toddler when everyone else has their 6-year molars, and I just want to give this floating bathwater distributor the golden shower, so I joined the fun. But then since I don't exactly have the timing of a metronome, my Q busts its nut too early, but I guess now she decides having multiple oddly shaped men staring at her is too much and dies. You'd then think that dead flamboyant flamingo corpse Caitlyn is wearing as a helmet would know she needs to leave. But she doesn't, so I ride the fuckboy express in to tap it from the back, then request we play a quick game of follow the flashing leader before Rift Alexa describes my stop ability as being non-existent. Okay, now if this next play isn't the meme of the month, I don't know what is. Dragon is up, which is typically why this kind of rumble in the river breaks out. But every dumbass, myself absolutely included, just flat out ignores the bladed kitty having an intimate one-on-one date with the thing in lieu of playing this game completely wrong, so he gets the uncontested Drake. I turn this Kate into a meat milkshake and then we deem it time to contest the now dead Drake, for fuck's sake. But luckily for us, a weaponized version of the main character of Beauty and the Beast is no match for 4 confused morons who are pissed about giving up a free dragon. This leaves just the ass from Assassin's Creed completely unaware to the fact that there's an interstellar obese skipping grandpa lurking in the shadows, so I deploy a fuckboy express to cover all angles and then meat mash him for the kill. Anyways, I am officially popping off. Our jungler is mad because he himself is performing poorly. The bomb squad is still taking a shit and our support is chasing enemies into unwarded bushes, so the Brand and Bard burst make it an even trade, and then I tunnel travel to tap the tits of that tilted toxic Tommy to secure the 2-time. Then back to bot lane because the Pyromaniac Power Ranger has gotten the short end of this shit stick thus far, so I come in and make the situation worse by putting a stop to what would have been a productive game of hot potato between the piggies, which results in Flaming Freddy going back to Fountain and me strapping on my cleanup crew undies. The Sky takes a laxative after its Spartan supper, but me and my meeps have the situation under control. And for reasons related to me wanting to collect a chime in an unsafe part of town, I am currently in timeout, but of course we have a shitter who wants to be a quitter, so I inform him that this is clearly winnable, to which his only argument is that we are outnumbered, but clearly he doesn't know how many successful adult films came from outnumbered situations. And for the record, this was more like a 3v5 when I show you what our top laner was up to all game a little later, but as a bit of foreshadowing, please take the hint of what is to come by the fact that I was rewarded a thick 1 kg for shutting down this prepubescent hamster. Now I would like to title this next performance, Boosted Bard. I see Barry the Bull prepping his molten mud muffin for a 67th death, so I run in with my bite-sized Heimerdingers by my side. Parkouring Patrick hits a surprise shift into reverse, to which I respond by using my ult on Dead Oran's carcass before letting that blade boy burst down my Brand. I focus on Miss Delphine until she escapes and the fuckboy express takes me to the wrong stop. Hopeless and embarrassed, I decide to do what any league player would do in this situation: one-shot the ADC before the rest of them can take me down. And at this point we have a Pantheon whining about being held hostage in a close game where his team is winning, while this absolute shit-stained scrumbag decides to randomly attack me as if she isn't the sad sloppy seconds I just settled for, knowing even on my deathbed I could piss on her, so I call her a dumb broad and move on. But now it's personal, so instead of objectives or winning the game, I just wanna kill the trash-talking British bitch, and whiffing the Zanya zone isn't exactly the most efficient way to do so, but we got her flash, and thanks to a visit from Oren's dead ancestor, we give Sona something interesting to tweet about. That said, the toxic twat from Tiltover still found a way to die, and then I laugh my ass off at the attempt to Beauty and the Beast bash my ass as he just gets duct taped to a minion and publicly shamed. And at this point you honestly can't tell me that I was in the wrong for thinking this game was 100% winnable. But the forces of solo queue were still upon us. Our support gets stuck in the middle of an awkward conversation about oversized shurikens, which just isn't his scene, so he dies to get out of it and kill a pyrocleptic burn victim fine, but start abusing a fat frog, and that's where I draw the line, so I flash to hit a meat mash before things get a little bit murky. I hope you're happy, you dumb frog, this was all to save you. So literally, while our base is being pushed in and our jungler is full on trolling in their forest to support the fact that his parents later devoted their lives to advocate for the power of birth control, I am trying to reason with the scum lord as this talent of all people feels the need to freaking tell me that I can't carry when this game was handed to me. And in the theme of his message, I have assembled this short montage of my team's contributions to the game as a visual to go with his apparent definition of what being handed a game means. Anyways, I eventually get the color back on my screen just in time because Nacho Libre's gremlin broke into our base and went through puberty at the worst time, so three of us have to hot potato the hormonal hamster until we finally break him down. That said, eventually the forces of this social experiment start to wear on you as you each lose hope, one at a time, until what started off as a fun experience once again gets ruined by the fact that you have to share it with other League of Legends players. So in summary, only GG to my brand support. Orin sucked a thickie, but I can't hate on someone who put in effort throughout the entire game. Ziggs obviously has some personal demons to work out, and players like this Pantheon can politely suck on my nuts. Rav out.
Don't fuck with Rabby boy, I'm in your crib with the blappy boy. Talk to me slick and I'm popping your pappy. If happy talk back, then I'm taking your Grammy, and boy oh boy I'll make her happy. Let's go.